This week, one visual dominated social media. Take a look. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi visited Chief Justice of India DY Chandrachud's home on Wednesday. The Chief Justice and his wife Kalpana Das greeted PM Modi, who was dressed in a traditional Maharashtrian attire. The Prime Minister was seen performing Ganpati Pooja with the two. And this has kicked off a controversy. The BJP says PM's visit was a courtesy one and reading too much into it is needless. The opposition slammed Prime Minister Modi for attempting to influence the judiciary. Legal experts have raised a larger question on whether such an event be made public the way it was, on the bonhomie between the executive and judiciary, and what message does this send to litigants and the judicial fraternity at large. Hello and welcome to Simply Put. I am Shubham Chohan. Let's get started. Now, the Prime Minister's visit to CJI Chandrachud's house did attract a lot of attention. The images of this visit were posted on the Prime Minister's official X handle. This visit comes a couple of months ahead of Chief Justice DY Chandrachud's retirement. He is due to retire on the 12th of November. So let's take the arguments one by one. First, the independence of the judiciary. You see, the executive and judiciary are two separate arms of the government. The executive's job is to put the laws made by the legislature into effect and make policy for the people. The head of the executive is the Prime Minister. The judiciary's role, on the other hand, it's the guardian of the Constitution. Its job is to uphold its basic structure. When a dispute comes up, even including the government, the judiciary has to interpret the law and strike down those laws that violate the Constitution. The Chief Justice is the head of the Supreme Court and the judiciary too. Now, both the Prime Minister and Chief Justice's chair have a certain dignity and responsibility attached to it. The union government is party to over 6 lakh cases in various courts across the country. Judges are expected to maintain a certain distance from not just the Prime Minister but any political leader. Look at this document, for instance. Titled The Restatement of Values of Judicial Life, this was adopted by a full court meeting of the Supreme Court in 1997. It has 16 points in total, but 3 are of significance in this context. First, the behavior and conduct of members of the higher judiciary must reaffirm the people's faith in the impartiality of the judiciary. Accordingly, any act of a judge of the Supreme Court or a High Court, whether in official or personal capacity, which erodes the credibility of this perception, has to be avoided. Then, point 6 of this document, a judge should practice a degree of aloofness consistent with the dignity of his office. And the last point, every judge must at all times be conscious that he is under the public gaze and there should be no act or omission by him which is unbecoming of the high office he occupies and the public esteem in which that office is held. Now, in the context of the Prime Minister and the CJI's meeting, isn't there a chance of justice being affected when heads of two arms of the government display such bonhomie? Now, juxtapose the points I just read out and last week's meeting and you'll have an answer for yourself. Next, on precedents. Is it the first time a Prime Minister and CJI have met? Not quite. The BJP was quick to point out that former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh hosted an iftar party at his residence in 2009. That party was attended by then Chief Justice of India, K.G. Balakrishnan, among others. But can such past incidents be used to defend the current Prime Minister's visit? Because the point is not which party or government does it, or even Chief Justice Chandrachud in specific. But what such a proximity does is raise speculations and questions of a possible quid pro quo. There's a bigger point too, where judges who try to get close to the ruling government while they're in office then end up getting post-retirement jobs. In 1953, M.C. Chagla, who was the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, had written to Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru then. He stated that the latter had given India an international status which countries most seasoned in diplomacy might well envy. Justice Chagla later went on to serve as the Indian ambassador to the US from 1958 to 1961 and as the Indian High Commissioner in the UK from April 1962 to September 1963. He also became the Union Minister for Education from 1963 to 1966 and the Minister of External Affairs from November 1966 to September 1967. Under the Modi government too, Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi, who gave several verdicts in favour of the government, later went on to become a Rajya Sabha MP. He was also seen sharing the dais with the Prime Minister on several occasions. Then there is Justice Arun Mishra, who was a sitting judge of the Supreme Court at one point. In 2020, he had praised the Prime Minister publicly in a forum. He said, and I'm quoting, "India is a responsible and most friendly member of the international community under the stewardship of internationally acclaimed visionary Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. We thank the versatile genius who thinks globally and acts locally, Shri Narendra Modi, for his inspiring speech, which will act as a catalyst in initiating the deliberations and setting the agenda for the conference." Later, Justice Mishra went on to become the head of the National Human Rights Commission. So the questions of a possible threat to the independence of the judiciary stem from such precedents. Now, not to say the same will definitely happen for CJI Chandrachud, who has had a long and decorated career and has delivered several landmark judgments. But again, there are questions and speculations, something that will only bring harm to the reputation of that institution, which is expected to be free from any political interference and uphold justice. Here's what Kapil Sibal, who is the president of the Supreme Court Bar Association, had to say on the meeting.
The Prime Minister of India should never have shown his interest to go to such a private event. Because the Prime Minister and those he must have consulted should and must have told him that this may send a wrong signal. Because the issue is not individual, the issue is what impact such a clip has on the minds of people. And if there is gossip around it, then it is not fair on the institution. You should not lend yourself to a situation, to be in a situation where people can gossip about the institution and start speculating.
Then there's a section of legal experts that have raised questions on the nature of the visit, on how it was captured on camera, put out on social media for the public to watch. Some say while the CJI may be within his right to do what he wants inside his home, and especially something as personal as religion and puja in this case, putting out publicly, and that too with the Prime Minister in frame, doesn't send the right message.
This is a very private thing that they were both doing. There was no need, there was no necessity for it to be published, in the newspapers or wherever, pictures to be taken. Because both these two functionaries have ample rights within themselves, and they are authorities who can compel the photographers not to click pictures, or even if they've clicked, not to publish them. It was well within their powers to do so. So I would think by itself, both of them doing puja, or this person going to his house and doing puja with him and all that, is not really very, very important. What is important is, that when you present it to the world, then, there are different, what do you think? People start thinking and interpreting it in so many various ways that your integrity or your propriety is compromised. That is the problem, So how far am I supposed to go? That is very important. And as we all know, judges, they do not have any external checks. It is only the internal checks, that keeps this balance, this balance intact.
To conclude, in the words of former Chief Justice Venkatachalaya, who summed up relations between the executive and judiciary, and I'm quoting here, "At the customary dinner after I was sworn in, Narasimha Rao casually after the dinner said, 'Our relationship will be cordial.' And to which I shot back, 'It should not be cordial.' And he was such a witty person, though he was taken aback a bit, he replied, 'Okay, it will be both cordial and proprietary.'" That's all we have for this episode of Simply Put. Do let us know what you think of this meeting in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.